nigga want bitches to feel safe. Stop all that pandering, she not gonna let you hit. Cut them weak ass locks off too, nigga. If you don't feel safe, why the hell you outside? Stay your ass in the house if you ain't trying to hold you here, feminist. You light skinned, why we listening to you? Why they scared of me for? I ain't be no bitch. So I can't have your number? Well, fuck you then, ugly ass. Who gon' stop me from harassing these bitches? Why do I have to take accountability for what other men do? All these bitches is the same. She throwing ass, she obviously want me to get up on. This nigga like women being comfortable.
That's right, fellas. The pandering is working, as you can see from the comment on the screen right now. But what's going on? That whole clip right there, you got the Dante Kyle Grits and Eggs podcast video that I did the other day. You know, and I'm dropping this before, or I'm recording this before I even dropped the video because I came across this other footage. So that's probably going to come out ASAP now, being that this is so hot at the moment. But the guy at the beginning in the video that I did, nothing that he said, and he's joking, he's being satirical, but nothing that he said is a point that I made in my 44-minute video or my 40-plus minute video. So there are two other individuals who are big on TikTok who have made videos basically, you know, going with what Buddy said. So I am going to hear them out. I only heard a piece of the second one, and he mentioned what accountability looks like. And that's what made me say, you know what, let's load these up and respond to the Avengers. So let's get to it. And just in case you missed it, I'm going to let the original clip run first. Then we're going to go immediately to the response clips. And I'm not responding to what Buddy says as far as the dude in the yellow, Dante, because I did that in another video.
You may not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da-da-da-da-da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you. Mm-hmm. It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about, and honestly, we're perpetuated. Mm. And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects.
Right.
You know, to look at women only through the lens of a sexual desire and not as the human being that they are. And when you understand how to deal with women on a human level, you understand how much women will enrich your life. Mm.
Amen. Amen.
You want to turn it up a notch?
Yeah.
Get you a good woman get you a good black woman in your corner.
Amen.
Hey man, you want to see your life turn up?
Hey.
And see, this is the thing though. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege. You know what I'm saying? We often disregard the power of our black women. The spiritual essence that they're gonna bring to things. The knowing, the seeing, you know what I'm saying? Also too, imagine it. They have to be hyper vigilant because they have to be constantly scanning the room, making sure that they're in a safe situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When we think about these kids who were clearly in Louisiana having the time of their fucking life because they graduated, and we think about white people's reaction to Black joy.
Oh yeah, that's
it's not about civility. It's not about decorum. They don't like to see us happy.
That's what it is.
Now, how often are women just having a good time, and here come a nigga trying to ruin their fun?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. You can call it pandering, but if I was up here caping for white women, you wouldn't even mention that word. If I was up here caping for Hispanic women, you wouldn't even call it pandering. Only when we take pride and show love to black women do you call it pandering. Get your motherfucking mind right. Use your cabeza.
Calling Deontay Kyle a panderer is intellectually dishonest. And missing the forest for the trees is something real easy to do when you do not want to see the forest. Think about it like this, man. Boys always talk about no snitching. No snitching. Well, you willing to be held accountable legally for the actions of another man.
Let's stop right there. That is criminal culture that bleeds into black street culture. And that is a code of ethics that is typically for street individuals, criminals, and things like that. That is not supposed to be something, as far as a standard, that is put on regular men who are civilians and things of that nature. That's not supposed to be a standard, especially if you have nothing to do with the crime and if you are not a criminal. Even then, when we talk about snitching, when you look at dudes like Boston Richie and YSL Woody, it's been proven in 6ix9ine and all of these Gunna. I don't even want to say Gunna. But when you look at all these rap adjacent people who have been in gangs and stuff and they done snitched and all this stuff and they still get love from the, like, it's been proven that the streets is a myth. It's been proven that all of those rules and shit is bullshit and people really don't follow them. That's how come people like Nicky Barnes just went crazy with the snitching and stuff like that, even though he was a kingpin, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to point that out just so you know you have to be a street individual for that really to apply to you. Most of the people replying are not street individuals. And whatever he is about to contrast this with, I guarantee you, it's not going to be a good contrast.
But this man right here said from the ethic and moral space of his heart and said, hey, men, we're accountable for the other actions of men. And y'all jumping through the roof right now? Man.
Exactly. Poor contrast. And this is the other thing about that contrast. We as civilians and even some street dudes who see all of the snitching going on right now, they look at that as idiot shit. Just really think about that. I'm going to be held accountable by police and do your sentence for something that you did. For something that you did. And the reason that I am doing that is because it is fake code of honor of me wanting to be looked at as an honorable individual amongst dishonorable motherfuckers, thieves and killers and criminals. Like, it's literally fucking stupid. So I'm going to take a charge for you. Something you did. You're not going to be held accountable, but I'm going to do the time for you so I can still be looked at as a G because the issue came to me. We talking about intellectually dishonest out the gate. This is intellectual, like, this is not a good contrast. But this is the thing, man. Dude probably come from the street, so this is just normal. And even then, the thing about black culture is people who don't even be in the streets and you just in the neighborhoods, a lot of people, like, the street code shit, the lines are beginning to get blurred and certain things that were tradition are not getting carried down. So it's like, yeah, now you look at this woman that called the police that don't got nothing to do with what you're doing and witness a crime is a snitch. Now you looking at her as she's not a snitch. She don't fucking know you and she not in the streets. But to contrast this is like another man grabbing a woman's butt in the club and then her looking back behind her and you were back behind her. You didn't do it. And you getting smacked by her and getting yelled at by her while the other dude is just standing over there, not getting any level of accountability for his actions, but you're being held accountable. And then what if other dudes come in and try and like, oh man, you putting your hands on a woman and then beat you up? I can almost guarantee you if that happened to this dude, as far as like somebody grabbed a woman's butt and then they turn around and she looking at him like, yo, you just grabbed my ass, motherfucker. Don't be touching me. The first thing he's going to say is, that wasn't me. Whether he tell on the other dude or not, he's not going to be held accountable for this. So, like, when we look at just the logic, because intellectually dishonest is the first thing he said. When we look at the logic of the first example that he made, it doesn't hold up at all. It doesn't hold up at all.
Calling Deontay Kyle a panderer is intellectually dishonest. Then a message that was curated for men, that was made in the vernacular in a situation for us men to understand and it's still being seen as pandering.
Cat doing that T.I. vocabulary shit right now.
In which part of the message do we feel like he was trying to get women's attention? He was specifically talking to us. Y'all remember when Muhammad Ali said this?
10,000 rattlesnakes coming to bite me. And in those 10,000, there was 1,000 that didn't mean no harm. And I knew there was a good 1,000 snakes out there, but they all look alike. Now, what should I do? Should I keep the door open and let the 10,000 in, hoping that the 1,000 will unite and save me and one bite will kill me? Or should I just be safe and shut the door? So we have white people say, I mean right. I have a black husband. Oh, my children are black. I love everybody. I really believe you. But I'm sorry, man, there's 10 more thousand behind you that don't feel that way. I'm just sorry, but what am I gonna do?
Arguing that you a good snake and you not like the rest of them, while at the same time you fall in line with the pattern of domination and power anytime we start talking about violence to women, whether we're talking about Meg Thee Stallion.
So this is the issue. I think when it comes to Dante and the dude on the screen, I don't think that they critically thought about any of this before they said it. And it's worse on the second dude because you actually seen the clip. You had time to really think about this before you got on the screen. Excuse the energy switch. It's a different day. But let's start with the Muhammad Ali clip. Farrakhan basically considered white Americans white devils. This is the context of the clip. I didn't feel like clipping it up and getting the clip. I watched the clip last night, but the dude basically asked Muhammad Ali after Muhammad Ali went on a rant about white devils and stuff like that, but we all can't be devils, right? Because there are some of us who mean y'all some good. What this clip is about is trust. What this clip is about, should we let you into our movements so that you can help us? Should we, specify all the time, oh, this is only for the evil white people and stuff like that? That's what this is for. That's the context of this. But this is a more specific context regarding trust. This is about how Muhammad Ali perceives white people and why he moves a certain way when it comes to white people. And that is a nuance that this guy and whatever the dude's name, Dante, that's the nuance that they are missing. They are missing that, okay, if we look at the approach example that Dante mentioned, there are some bad guys who can't take rejection and react horribly. So knowing that there are some guys like that, you have to move accordingly. You have to be cautious as a woman because you don't know what can trigger a guy, or you don't know if you're triggering the wrong guy, et cetera, et cetera. So that is one thing for a woman to know that there is a potential threat that could happen in these situations and to be aware of it and move accordingly. Just like when we talk about all the white snakes and stuff like that. Yeah, there are some good white people. But guess what? The natives thought that the colonizers were cool white people, and look what they did to them. Look what they did to them. So that's why this is disingenuous, because what Muhammad Ali is talking about is not trusting these white people because of the atrocities that they have committed. There's nothing in this, as far as the clip that he's mentioning, about accountability. What these guys don't recognize, and what this guy specifically doesn't recognize, is that those are two different things. Awareness and caution is different than condemnation and accountability. Those are two completely different things. Now, one of the things that he mentioned was a pattern of domination and power. I don't know these dudes have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, because when it comes to the patriarchy, we don't play a part in that shit. Where is this power the black men have? Black women stay talking about how they not going to submit to us. Black women saying, oh man, where are the black dudes in college? Like we got literacy issues, and black men are not getting in college. Black men need to keep up because, we're out earning them, and Where is this systemic oppression or this dominance that he's speaking of? Where is it at? Where is it at? It doesn't fucking exist. I don't know if before I cut it off, he mentioned Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion. He's going to mention that. That's a foolish example. The reason it's a foolish example is because the woman, she's fucking free. The air quote victim. She fucking lied, but we're not going to get into that today. She's free. Tory is in jail. Where is the dominance in that? Where is the dominance in that? When we talk about a power structure and that, like, what the fuck, like, fam, like, niggas just be talking. Like, just because somebody attacks a woman, and I'm being general, that doesn't mean that there is dominance and, you know, all this shit that he's talking about. Because if another man attacks me, like, oh man, that was patriarchy, right? Like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking? He's gonna mention a bunch of bullshit. Let's get back into it.
We're talking about Cassie, whether we're talking about any of the nameless victims that R. Kelly was talking about, or whether we're talking about the endless victims that Bill Cosby was doing. There's always a way to fall in line with the patterns that's propped up by power and domination.
He mentioned a list of multimillionaire predators that are in fucking jail. What are we talking about? Please, somebody tell me what we're talking about. And then he says something like, there's always a way to fall in line with the powers. What does that have to do with me? What does Bill Cosby slipping shit in chicks' drinks in the 70s have to do with me? What does that have to do with me in 2025? What does that have to do with any black men that weren't slipping shit in women's drinks? He went to jail. He was tried for a lot of this stuff. And this is the thing that's disingenuous about people like this. Like, we talking about power and domination and all this stuff. This cat got like 50 trials lined up during the Me Too movement because women felt emboldened. There was nothing to stop them from going and putting these lawsuits in or anything. They just felt the opportunity was right, so they all banded together. And guess what? Some of those allegations got thrown out. There was one woman who said that Bill Cosby did something to her drink and did something to her at the Playboy, you know, at one of the Playboy parties. The date that she said that it happened, there was proof Bill Cosby was somewhere else. They threw the case out. So that's proof that at least one of the chicks was lying. One of the chicks was lying. I'm not about to get into all the justice system stuff and how it's flawed, because we all know what it is. But what I don't know is what the fuck this guy's talking about.
A lot of us can say, I mean, right. I got a mama, I got a sister, I got a daughter, I got a grandma. And that means much when it comes to how we are preferenced, privileged, and popped up by all these systems of domination that leads to the violence to women. You see what I'm saying?
Listen, I didn't watch this whole clip. I'm probably just going to let it rock after this because this is the point. Dude is speaking absolute nonsense. What power, like, what? I have no power right now as I am to coerce a woman into doing anything. Like, none. I'm not a part of any power structure, patriot, like, and again, so the whole, it's so overwhelming, so I keep stuttering like this. But when you look at institutions where things like this happen, it's done by individuals. And it's not something systemic that affects a mass of people. Like when we talk about the contrast of racism and white supremacy and things like that, which I went over in detail in my other video. But this is the other thing, you know, outside of it being committed by individuals, what is this power structure he is talking? Like, what is it? What is it? Like the me, you, and all the other black men, not white men, black men listening to this. The one I just seen a video of a dude who has his pilot's license, right? He got his pilot's license. And he had to do so much. He's in the States, right? On the mainland. And it got to the point where he had to make a call to Hawaii. Like he had to apply in Hawaii. Like, and he had to do so much finessing just to not get the job. He had to tell him that he lived there when he didn't. And he still didn't get the job. The brother has all the certification to be flying planes. Cannot get a job for nothing. But we are so propped up by this patriarchal system to where we just have so many advantages that women don't have, to where we could smack them on the butt. We could react crazily and, you know, shoot them in the foot and say, dance, bitch, and not be held accountable. Like, what is this power? Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he can't connect the dots because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he thinks because he has a good vocabulary that it's working. And I'm sure, I didn't check the comments. I'm sure there are women in the comments that are so happy and so supportive of what he's saying, but it's absolute fucking nonsense. This is what he said. Black men are, what you call it, preferenced, privileged, and propped up by this. And he didn't say patriarchy, but you know, these systems and stuff like that. So tell me what that has to do with me being accountable for R. Kelly raping little girls. I need you to tell me that. I need you to tell me, number one, connect the dots. What does that exactly have to do with me? Because the difference between me and this guy is I can tell you exactly, if we go and look at Timmy off the street, I can tell you exactly how white privilege and white supremacy benefits Timmy off the street, whether he knows it or not. And listen, y'all watch the channel. I articulate shit very well, bro. I fucking lay these points out well. Y'all know I'm beyond capable of that. Y'all know I'm beyond capable of that. What this dude and Dante are incapable of doing is connecting the dots to how I would be accountable for Bill Cosby slipping something in a chick's drink in 1925. But this is the worst part. This cat is talking about power structures. Tell me what the power structure has to do with Tory Lanez going to jail. It's completely fucking nonsensical. It is just, I'm not even going to pull no punches. This is fucking buffoonery, dog.
Whether we like it or not, when our homeboy even talking about the cat calling or doing whatever they're doing and we don't do nothing, yeah, we did that. Just like if a white person is standing next to a body that's lynching, they are just as guilty as the person that put the body up there.
I'm going to say something nobody else is going to say. This nigga right here is a fucking coon. Because for that to be the example that you draw, this nigga doesn't understand anything, bro. He doesn't understand anything that he's talking about. This nigga just compared catcalling to group murder. What are we doing in 2025? Take the fucking internet from these niggas. Take the fucking I'm so fucking pissed. Even then, if we look at what he just said, what he said is situational. I'm not going to get into what I think about catcalling, but let's just pretend that it's 100% wrong. Let's just pretend that. The person you said that should be held accountable is the friend of the guy doing the catcalling. Not a random guy on the street, but one of your friends, right? That's what you said. And what should they be held accountable for when you say that? In your eyes, what this guy said is if he did that, you did that. If you didn't do nothing about it, you did that. So you were just as guilty as the guy catcalling. Come on, man. Come on, man. What is we doing? What is we doing? So the thing about accountability is you hold people accountable for what they do, what they actually do, or their part in something that actually happened. If we just take a shooting, let's just take a shooting or something like that. So we're going to go legal very quickly. So we got a car, right? The car has 3 people in it. They all know they're going to do a drill. Boom, they go, they slide, they kill some people, right? You know, they're all more than likely going to be charged with murder. The reason they're all going to be charged with murder is because of their intent and their actions. So as far as the driver, he might not have shot no shots, but he knew what they were driving to do. He was completely aware of it and he aided in the crime. So that way, all 3 of them have to be held accountable. Now, what about you not being in a car, you being with another guy, y'all 2 are just walking, right? He sees somebody he doesn't like, he runs them down, kills them. Now, you seen it, you don't say nothing, and he did what he did. He's going to be held accountable for what he did, whether you went to stop him or tell him not to do it and you knew it or not. He's going to be charged for what he did. Being that there's no car involved, being that you didn't actually go up to the dude and do anything, being that you were not a part of the plot at all, you're more than likely not going to be held accountable as far as a charge because you had nothing to do with the situation. Just because that's your friend and you was there and he did it and you seen it and you didn't tell him to stop, you're not going to get charged for something that he clearly did himself. The car situation will make it a little bit more complex, but even then, we just seen somebody, you could watch mediocre tutorials and reviews, who got out the passenger seat, shot somebody who was fucking with their car or whatever, got back in the car, they drove off. He's the only one in jail. The driver is not in jail because the driver didn't murder the woman. And he's not an accomplice in that situation because the dude called 911 and reported that he killed the chick. Like, what is the dude in the driver's seat supposed to do in that situation? So that's when we talking about murder and stuff. We're not going to get into this goofy lynching shit that he tried to contrast that is fucking horrible. Now, the criminal justice system is flawed. So when we talk about just actions that are just only condemnable in a court of public opinion, then it's a little bit different. When you have a guy that is with you, right? And he is catcalling women, and y'all intent is to go out and get women. Guess what? This is the thing nobody will admit. Catcalling works sometimes. Sometimes chicks do like to be catcalled. Some women respond positively to it. But it's become such a complaint over the years, I say over the past 20 years at least, that yeah, you could guess that most chicks don't like it. You could guess that. But I've been firsthand account on a bunch of, hey, yo, shorty, what's going on? And then the nigga run over there. He get to choose the signals, everything look good, she smiling, she cheated, whatever, the nigga run over there. And see, the reason I have to paint that picture is because the intention is not a bad intention. It's just a picture that has been painted by the same people who say, oh, man, don't holler at nobody in the gym, man. The gym is a sacred place. And these chicks is running around recording dudes like, oh, he a creep. I got that episode on my channel of, the chicks talking about gym cock and how much they love dudes at the gym. And what it is they love the guys in their age bracket that be looking good in the gym, but they hate the older dudes. They hate the older dudes at the gym. They are so creepy. They do not like these guys. And these chicks is at the gym getting dudes to fucking stalking dudes and all this stuff. You got to peep that episode when you get a chance on my shit. But if we talk about stuff like catcalling and approaching at the gym, the intention is not bad. It's not bad. It's just that the women look at it bad if they are not attracted to you, if it's not coming from the guys that they want it to come from. And I'm sure there are women who universally look at approaching in a gym or look at catcalling is bad. Like they don't want any man doing that to them. They don't want any man doing that to them. But then we got to talk about, oh man, why are no dudes approaching me? Why are all them fucking TikTok videos is coming out now? But all of that aside, let's give a different action, to this fucking shit that he's talking about. Let's say that a man grabs a butt, because that is something to where we can all agree. Catcalling, I could tell you that shit, it plays out well, and we could debate about that, but we can pretty much say that a man grabbing a stranger's butt is not something that men should be doing. Even if in the club it works sometime and some chicks go for it and stuff like that, that's physical touch. That's a different territory. I've never done that in my life. I know people who have. It is what it is. I know chicks who like it. It is what it is. I know chicks who let it happen. They just be cool with it. They want to fuck it, whatever the case may be. But I've seen it go bad as well. Let me say that. So a man grabs a random woman's butt, right? They don't know each other at all. This is the logic the dude has. He grabbed her butt and you was with him, so you grabbed her butt. That is stupid. That is absolutely stupid. These guys have no nuance. They have no nuance to what they're saying. The proper thing to say would be, listen, the dude grabbing the chick's butt, he is wrong. He has to take accountability for that. If you were with him and you condone this type of behavior, if this is something you approve of, if this is something that, because when shit like that happens, nobody says I'm about to grab her butt. They just do it. If you don't say, yo, man, what are you doing? Yo, chill out. Anything like that. If there was any level of accountability for you to have, it would be for you not checking your mans, which this is the thing about that. It's completely different than saying, yo, if he grabbed the butt, you grabbed the butt. If he guilty, you guilty. It's completely different than that. But on top of that, if that is something that you do want to hold the guy accountable for, that's a subset, a different set of accountability. He's not accountable for what another man does. He's accountable for not checking what another man does. So that is a whole different thing that these men are failing to articulate. But this is even the thing about that. I don't believe in that shit because I talk about that all the time on this channel and I know the truth. The first thing is, man, call the cops. If it's that big of an issue, you now have a sexual assault charge. If it's that deep to you, call the cops, have him held accountable. Just like Tory, the person he mentioned, was held accountable. So that's the first thing on a judicial level. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm not going to go deep on this. Niggas love to pick and choose, and it's normal. That's normal. Nobody wants to go and fight a fight that they're going to lose. There's an ignorant clip going around about, Dante and the one dude with the glasses and shit. Not him, but it's another dude who be all talking about black people and stuff. It's an ignorant clip from a dude that only got 400 followers, right? And he is saying that both of them niggas, and this is what he's saying, I'm not saying, both of them niggas is bitches. If anything was doing something to some girls while they was around, if any of them was to say anything, a dude would smack the fire out of them. These dudes ain't like that, blah, blah, blah. Now, he put it in a very ignorant way. But the thing is, that's the truth. That's the truth. Even if it's not true about them, that's true for most men. Men are not going to step in and interject unless they feel they could win in the situation. And when it comes to protecting women, you should be responsible for your family members, whatever women you came to the place with, and primarily your girl. Outside of that, in my opinion, it's not your job as a man to put your life on, literally, put your life on the line for a woman you don't know and end up dying because you was trying to be Mr. Protect Black women and stuff when you don't know the situation, you don't know what's going on, or just because you felt like that's what should be done. That is a thing that I talk about even in videos where I'm just talking about conflicts between men that have nothing to do with women. When we talk about conflicts with men, depending on how it escalates, you have to be prepared to die. You have to be prepared to die. Because if it comes to you both attacking each other, cats love to, oh man, yeah, we just gonna duke it out. We gonna catch the fade. Everybody ain't trying to catch the fade, man. It's a video of a dude years ago on O Block. They was catching fades, right? They was fighting. It was like a few dudes fighting a few other dudes, man. The dude stood over he beat up a dude in a Montclair jacket, right? Skinny little dude. But the dude had his shirt off as far as the guy who won the fight. He stood over him, flexed on him, started walking away, man. The dude in the Montclair got up and shot him. He got up and shot him. He killed him. So everybody, like you have to be ready for combat on the highest level if you're going to stick your nose in some of these situations. And shout out to you niggas that think you He-Man and shit. So when it comes to that, I don't really believe in that. So like if that is a point that you try to stand on, like, okay, if the guy watched this and he said, okay, I'm articulating it wrong. What you said is what I mean. The guy should be held accountable for not saying other. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Because we got police. We got people whose job it is to uphold justice. We got actual enforcers out here. If it's that deep, call them. Don't call a civilian to risk their life. And as far as the dude, you don't know if the dude is intimidated of his friend and he could get his ass beat. You don't know if that's the case. So we could just sit here and say, oh, man, so you advocating for pussies or what? It don't matter, bruh. It don't matter, bruh. Because this is what it really comes down to. Even if, let's just say the friend, right, who didn't grab the butt cheek could beat the living shit out of the guy who did grab the chick's butt cheek. We could go all around the world with this like we already have, but this is the thing. He cannot be held accountable for grabbing a butt cheek that he didn't grab. He just can't. I don't know how to lay that point out any more clearly, bro. I could literally keep going, but you cannot hold him accountable because that's the whole sentiment, right? All that extra shit I threw in there was me trying to make a better argument for him because he can't make a good argument. Him and the Dante dude cannot make a good argument on this. So if we just go back to the bare bones of what this shit is, he's not going to tell you in this video what accountability actually looks like for a guy that didn't do something. He's not going to tell you what it looks like. I did that in my other video. Like, these cats don't flesh their thoughts out and they just be saying some bullshit. You can't be held, and you shouldn't be held accountable for actions of an individual that you had nothing to do with and you didn't do, especially when it has nothing to do with systemic oppression, which is what these two fucking coons keep comparing this shit to.
That's just being in proximity. You see what I'm saying?
Family's life now that there's some whites that mean right and sorry that they're from this race. But there's so few until it don't really matter, until I can't forget all the lynching, all the depriving, all the murder, everything that's been happened because they're two that mean right.
Right. Okay, so maybe you don't subscribe to the politics of snitching, but let's go to this Muhammad Ali metaphor he just laid down. He was making the analysis about power and domination and how patterns are mobilized by said power and domination when it comes to belief and practices. We understand that, right?
You may not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da-da-da-da-da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you.
The last thing, man, when it comes to the idea of gender wars, and we recognize that our casualties ain't coming from women, but it's an institution that's made by men, that's propped up by men, that's leading to all of us having depression, leading to us having the highest, you feel me, rates of unaliving ourselves, then we start recognizing who has manufactured this idea of a gender war and who really stands to gain.
We just gonna act like feminists don't exist, huh? Next video.
You may not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not. And you are accountable for that as well.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I saw a Conscious Lee video earlier, and he said to say that Deontay Kyle's pandering is being intellectually dishonest. And it is. Because if you're listening to the broader message, not trying to push a narrative, and you're listening to it objectively, you'll see what the broader message is. And let's not ignore the fact that there's always going to be a group of men that, if you try to champion women or support women or you know, try to defend women in any way, you're going to be pandering. There's also a group of men that couldn't wait to see Deontay Kyle say something that they disagreed with so they could try to put it on blast. Those people know who they are, so there's no need to call out names. When it comes to the message itself, right? Accountability, men have to be accountable for other men, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to take personal accountability for all the wrongdoings of all the men in the world, right? If you're one of the good ones, right? It just means hold each other accountable. It also means
We got to stop there. None of these videos that I'm making would be made if Dante or the dude who he just mentioned that we just watched, because that's the video that he referenced when we came in, the dude that we just watched for 30 minutes. If either one of them just said, yo, as men, we have to hold other men accountable, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be making this video. What the man in the last video said was, if a man catcall a woman, you did that. Dante Kyle said the good man need to be held accountable for the bad man, as far as the guys who go to holler at women and can't take rejection. Even though we could take rejection, we got to be held accountable for those other men. So that is a completely different thing. When you say I'm accountable for another man's actions.
You may not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah. And
you are accountable for that as well.
Personal accountability is what comes to mind when anybody says you are accountable for that. That's the whole discrepancy behind all this. Not that you have to hold somebody else accountable. That's a whole different thing. And you could hold somebody accountable for not holding somebody accountable. That's a whole separate thing. And out of the 3 videos that we've watched, you're the first to say it. These niggas didn't say nothing like that. So I'm supposed to believe that's what it looks like when you're pretty much one of three. The opinion you just gave is one of three. Neither one of them said that. And that's a different discussion. So I'm not going because these niggas need to learn how to articulate themselves better. If we talking about being intellectual and stuff like that, these men need to articulate their points better if that's what they meant, because that's poor communication. What he just said doesn't align with you are accountable for Bill Cosby putting pills in chicks' drinks, for Tory Lanez allegedly shooting Meg Thee Stallion, for P. Diddy having freak-offs with Cassie, for men who can't take rejection. That doesn't line up. What they are saying and what they said does not line up with what this man just said. And if they said anything like that, we wouldn't have made it this far in the video. Nigga, the first video probably wouldn't have got made. But let's continue.
Be aware. You can't ignore the fact that there's a history of violence and abuse against women in this country, in this world, by men. You can't ignore that. You have to understand that that is going to be how a lot of women see men, even if you're one of the good ones.
I've already acknowledged that, but this is the thing. There's a difference between being cautious, a woman's perception, and then not just a perception, but the reality of what the situation actually is. But on top of that, somebody actually following through and doing something violent or abusive to a woman. Those are different things. So if we talk about a woman being cautious, that has nothing to do with accountability. Saying that men have a violent history with women and stuff like that, that's like duh, because men have a violent history all over the planet. Like, history is violent. It just is what it is. And that's not me trying to undermine the violence that happens to women and things like that, but facts are just facts. Go and look at the body count of World War II. Just go and do that. Go and do that and see how many of those were women. The numbers will astonish you, but this is the thing. I'm not about to go down some violence hierarchy or nothing like that. Listen, women being cautious makes sense. We can acknowledge that they are weaker and they are more susceptible to violence and things like that. So they have to be very cautious when they are not under the protection of a man or men. But we can still understand that and understand that that has nothing to do with me being held accountable or you being held accountable as guys who don't engage in any of that for what guys do when it comes to violence towards women.
It's the same way we as black people look at police, right? If you're wearing the uniform, I have to assume that you're one of them, that you're part of that club. I don't care if you say you're one of the good ones. I'm going to proceed with caution because of the uniform that you're wearing, because of the history of violence of police against black people.
Why in every example that these guys do they use white supremacy? Like, why did they? Because they think, okay, you guys understand that. So if you could understand it, like, come on, man. Come on, man. The thing about this example in comparison to the other examples that we went over where they mentioned like, oh, the lynching and stuff like that, he's not talking about accountability right now. He's talking about caution. The cautious perception of women. So this is the first example in a contrast to white supremacy that has made any type of sense, like any type of sense. But if you take this same example and then begin to contrast it to accountability, we have a different conversation that I'm not even going to get into because he hasn't said that.
It's the same concept of the way women look at men. So if you choose to ignore that history, you are being willfully ignorant, right? And you're being intellectually dishonest to say that that is pandering, to say that the history of how people have been treated by another group of people should not be taken into account when you are being viewed if you're a part of that group. That just makes sense. So to say anything different is ridiculous, and it's not pandering. So the people who are listening to it objectively and who want to understand it are going to get it. And the people who don't, they never will. They don't want to.
So this is what he's done so far. He has came and redefined accountability. He said it doesn't mean personal accountability, which that is what the first two men basically tried to put on our shoulders. That's the way that they communicated, right? So he says it's not personal accountability. So he redefined accountability to holding other men accountable. So Dante saying men are in the park hollering at girls, getting upset, acting out crazy, and you are accountable for that. Translates to you have to hold that man accountable. Those are two different things, first off. So that's what he's done so far. So he had to redefine accountability, but you see how those two things, as far as what Dante said and what he's saying, they don't match up as far as the communication. Do you see that? When we get past that, he then goes to talk about men as a group doing violent shit to women. Now, I could get into this whole tangent about, oh, not all men or anything. I could get into that. This is the thing that I need you to understand, because I don't feel like fucking getting into the nuance of this. It is very simple. Men have a violent history in general. Humans have a violent history in general. That is just the nature of humans. That's what it is. But when we look at just painting that on men and vilifying men in general, that is not the thing to do. And the reason I say that is because there's a very small minority of men, if we look at American society right now, who commit violent crimes. There are a lot of people who have never had a fight in their life. So that nuance is going to get lost on a lot of people. I understand some people think it's dangerous to acknowledge that, yes, men have perpetuated a lot of violence throughout history. It's the fucking truth. It's the fucking truth. And when we look at women and stuff like that, it's true with them as well. So I can say that and acknowledge that. But if you try to lean on that for the reason that a woman goes and picks a bear instead of a man in the forest, now we have a different discussion on how fucking stupid that is. Do you understand that? Do you? Because people miss the nuance when it comes to these things, especially when you're having these online discussions. It's like, God damn, I gotta paint the whole fucking picture for you. Some shit should just be self-explanatory. Some shit should just, like, you're not bad, I'm not bad. We not out here killing people, but there are men who are killers. When you look at like all the shit going on in Palestine and fucking Gaza and fucking what's the other one? The Ukraine and Russia and shit like that. And even if you go and look at World War II and stuff like that, most of that is man shit. And the nuance that gets left out of that is a lot of men who are dying and killing in these cases are protecting you. You got dumb feminists who will say stupid shit. I seen some shit the other day like, oh, if all men were off the planet, who we have to be protected from? We're not about to sit here and act like women are angels. I said like probably a month ago on my channel, women fight way more than men. Physical fights. And I'm talking about real life, but even if you look at some shit like baddies, that's all them bitches do. But anyways, we getting past that. Let's go back. Let's snap back in. Let's lock it back in. I just had to give you that because some of y'all, like, somebody will just miss the nuance, and you gotta spoon feed all of this shit to everybody sometimes. So boom, let's go back down the ladder. Let's go from the top again. So what Buddy did was he redefined accountability. So these guys who are pretty much pointing at personal accountability, saying you, and that's the interpretation that we're all taking. This guy's trying to say we're all mistaken. He redefines accountability to hold another man accountable. He then mentions that there are a lot of violent men and a violent history towards women and stuff like that. Boom. We can acknowledge that to some degree. I already went over the nuance for some of you niggas who's gonna cry and stuff like that. And for some of you babes who gonna take it and run with it somewhere, take it to like feministnation.com or whatever the fuck you gonna do with it. So when we get past that and just acknowledging that as far as men's violent history, we then get into the perception of women. We then get into how women perceive men. the caution that women have towards men, him contrasting that to a group, like men is a monolithic group, contrasting it to police, right? So he did that and said, if you look at the history of police, you could understand why black people are leery of police or weary of police. And then if you look at the history of men towards women, you could understand the difference between that. I mean, I'm not even going to get into the nuance of that because it's pointless. Like, women is out here fucking men. Like, men can't be that dangerous. Men can't be that dangerous when y'all having all this sex. Y'all having all these niggas' kids. Y'all talking about some protect black women. So y'all expect protection from these men. Y'all constantly talking about what y'all want from men. So men can't be that bad. They can't be just, oh my God, they're just these horrible people as far as the picture Buddy is trying to paint. Like, oh man, they just got to move so cautious all the time. But that's besides the point. So we get into the perception of women and them needing to be cautious in certain situations when it comes to men, which is valid. And then he ends with, some people aren't going to get it. This is what I don't get. How the fuck is their perception accountability? How the fuck is... Do you not understand what this nigga just said? I need to be held accountable for P. Diddy knocking Cassie all around a fucking hotel and him having freaky freak offs with her and shit like that. With the GBH baby oil or whatever that shit, the drug infused baby oil. I have to be held accountable for that. That's what consciously in the second video that you came from to say this. That's what he said. That's what he said. And he's talking about some imaginary power structure that black men don't participate in because we don't have any dominance going on in society, in America. The fuck are we talking about? How does women's perception connect to me being accountable for what Dante said as far as men not being able to take rejection and reacting poorly? Like, where is the accountability in that as far as women's perception and stuff like that? It just doesn't connect. And even holding other men accountable, how does that connect to acknowledging and validating women's perception and things like that? Because that's not what Buddy was talking about, and that's not what the two were saying. In my opinion, this last video is a misinterpretation of what was being said. Because like I said earlier in the video, if that's what Buddy said, if he said y'all need to hold other men accountable instead of you were accountable for that, we would be having I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be having no conversation. This wouldn't even be a conversation. But this is what it boils down to. Dante's initial argument was fucking poor. It was very poor. That's why I got a lot of backlash. It was some bullshit. Then consciously followed up, I didn't think it could get worse. It got fucking worse. Then you come trying to make sense of it and remix the shit, saying shit that they didn't say. Your video is not in alignment with their videos. So it's not no intellectually dishonest. That shit that he did wasn't even really intellectual, if we being honest, as far as a second consciously. It just wasn't. No, just no. But outside of that, we just gonna finish the video, man, because yeah, the math just don't math when we talk about these three. If we took this video right here, face value, the only thing that would be there is confusion, because you go from talking about, okay, accountability, you have to hold other men accountable. And you don't really talk about holding other men accountable. See, I'm gonna just go off the handle real quick. So boom, so does accountability to you look like acknowledging a woman's perception as far as, oh, there are a lot of dangerous men, so I have to be cautious? Is that what accountability looks like to you? Now, we could say, oh, man, you just nerfed yourself or whatever. You could, oh, man, you just gave him some leeway. Who gives a fuck? Let's just pretend that's the case. First thing, I'm not even going to say that's the case for Dante or that's the case for the other dude. This is just this dude's argument. If that is the case, what the fuck are we talking about accountability for? Because this is the issue when we talk about a lot of these podcasts or when we talk about accountability and taking action, niggas just do a lot of fucking talking, man. Niggas just do a lot of fucking talking. And when we get to some black shit, this is how come I don't listen to none of these fake ass internet black leader ass niggas. Cause niggas don't be doing a motherfucking thing except taking fucking what you call that shit? CMOS smoothies and shit. Selling you t-shirts and shit. I don't listen to no Brother Polite. I don't listen to no Dr. Ooh. I don't listen to none of that shit, bro. Cause niggas do not be about fucking action. I got to a point after trying to explain myself to y'all where I really don't explain myself to y'all no more, because I know there are a lot of you who will just never get it no matter what I say. I could tell you that I'm a fucking alien and you're going to say, no, you're a black man. You're like, I could tell you anything and you're not going to agree with how I identify myself. So I really don't give a fuck, because I know a lot of you are not going to get it. But this is the thing that I'm going to acknowledge in this context. This is the thing I'm going to say. I'm not here to be a leader. That is not the thing. I did not come to YouTube to lead you niggas. I did not come here to take your money for courses. I did not come here to get you to sign up for no mastermind or no shit. I did not come here to try and tell you that I was going to get you from A to B or nothing like that. I came to give you some insight that I think you might find valuable. Outside of that, just to give my perspective and just let you know my thoughts on different things, whether you find them valuable or not, and to some degree be entertaining. That is the purpose that I have here. So when it comes to me talking this shit and giving you knowledge and stuff, that shit is face value shit, right? But when you have niggas on podcasts talking to niggas every day and then getting on a fucking podcast talking about some astrophysicists, listen to my shit, fucking scholars, you know, the extraterrestrials, everybody listens to my shit, right? Where are your scholars and stuff like that? When you get to saying stuff like that, you are trying to position yourself as an authority figure. Now, he got a clip that's going viral right now saying like, oh, man, you know, it's like America's going to need 50,000 plumbers by 2025 and shit like that. Black people need to get on that opportunity. That's a good call to action. When you look at this shit, all of the videos that we watch, what the fuck is the call to action in this situation? Because that's where the issue is. That's where the issue is as far as all of these videos that we watch, even this last dude. If the call to action is just sitting here and saying, yeah, there do be men beating up women. Duh, nigga, like what the fuck is we talking about? Why are we making all these videos if that's all niggas want? Why are you even getting on a podcast if that's the main point? Like when we talk about accountability, like shouldn't there be a bigger play? Shouldn't there be like a bigger course of action? And I'm not saying niggas got to go and march. Oh, nigga, we going to become feminists and go down to the feministrightsorg.net headquarters and fucking get green stripes. Bruh, I'm saying like, bruh, if you going to be on some protect black women shit, the call to action should be something like, hey, when you see something going on, you go up to that man and check that man. You go up to that man, you punch him in the face, like whatever. Because this is the thing, y'all. If you watch this channel, you know what I be on when it comes to that protect black women bullshit. But if you gonna be on that side of the fence and you go, bro, have your call to action and make it make sense and make it meaningful. Not no bullshit to where it's just like, oh, nigga, you know, you got to take accountability and then we get to redefine an accountability. And after you redefine it, you don't even give an example. You don't even give a good example of what the fuck that looks. It looks like acknowledging that women had go through shit. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? So niggas is spending time comparing us to P. Diddy and shit. And it's just us, we supposed to hold P. Diddy accountable. That's all it look like. Get the fuck out of this. This is a big ass, I'm not gonna lie, this is a big ass waste of time. Bro, these niggas just be talking, bro. These niggas just be fucking talking. Dante and the dude on the screen, they articulate themselves well. Buddy in the middle is just like, bro, nigga is a word salad genius, nigga. Bro, he just be saying shit. He just be chucking words in there for no reason. Like the vernacular of extracurricular. Like, man, Bruh, you don't gotta do all that because that shit is unnecessary and it don't really connect like you think it connect. But I know I'm ranting, but the whole point is, bruh, like, what the fuck? I done spent an hour, 2 hours if you really want to look at it, because the last video is like 40 something minutes. Spent all this time listening to this shit, and the call to action is nothing. Hold other men accountable. Okay, well, what does that look like? We don't know. But you Diddy. If Diddy did it, you did it. Fuck it, man. Get the fuck out of it. This is some bullshit. Let's finish this fucking video.
So men need to keep pushing this conversation and having this conversation more, because when it's women talking, it's them preaching to the choir. So men have to champion this issue. And that's just the way it is. Some people are never going to get it. They don't want to.